Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. This is Reganelite here. Hello everyone, welcome to Reganelite's Viewpoint episode 112, where we cover some of the news that's happening in the UK. The date and time of this is the 11th of August 2025 at 8 PM UK time. We are dual streaming live on youtube.com/Reganelite and on twitch.tv/Reganelite1. I've tested I just wanted to say I've tested something, guys. So I don't know if you guys can hear it, but I did do a test record. I've got my air conditioner on next to me here. Can you let me know if you can hear it or not? If it's making too much noise, do tell me, because I do have the mini fan as a backup, but I've got it on at the moment. And I did do a test record before going live to see if it was working. Apologies for the late start. Apparently, I was recording from the wrong live stream. I didn't realise. I noticed something was wrong because Jao hadn't said anything and the live stream wasn't activated here. And I was like, something's wrong here. Apparently, I started the wrong live stream. So that was a bit silly of me there as well. So yeah, if you can hear the air condition in the background, do let me know. And it is an actual air condition machine as well. Which I might actually, if I can get away with it live streaming, I could get away with it recording as well. In 30 degrees heat. Ooh. Jao, good to see you there, buddy. Hope you're doing well. Pete's Music as well, and anybody else who may be lurking in the chats as well. We've got some very interesting news to look at. The first story I want to cover, guys, is one that doesn't get enough coverage, and one that I've literally did a Speak of My Mind episode about, are we talking enough about this? And I guess the answer is no, we're not talking enough about this. So I'll have to take the hat off temporarily, because I want to play the video from Sky News here, because I do think this is, I do think this is important. So the headline is, it shouldn't be like this. Full-time workers rely on food handouts amid the cost of living crisis. So wages in Cannock Chase matched the national UK average in 2021. But that's not the case anymore. Full-time workers say they thought their lifestyle would be more comfortable, that their work ethic would be delivering more than it is. So I'm just going to play this video and then I'm going to share my thoughts and we'll carry on this after. But this is the reality in some places in the UK about the cost of living crisis.
Would you call yourself middle class?
Yeah, I would.
People are working so hard for their money and they've got nothing to show for it.
Well, I have got a good job, yeah, you know, I work in a good place. We're very hungry if we didn't come here.
This is Cannock Chase in Staffordshire. You might say it's a Middle England sort of place, but with the cost of living crisis, that's changed.
We have food on the table, we've got heating, we've got cars to drive, but there are definitely some luxuries that we've cut back on recently.
Louise was a music teacher for 20 years. She now works 50 hours a week doing 3 jobs.
50 hours a week? 50 hours a week? What kind of life is that? 50 hours? That's insane. Jesus. So do you get any days off? I'm just trying to think in my head.
Her husband is an estate agent and together they earn around £80,000 a year, but it's not enough to fund the middle class lifestyle they expected.
They're earning 80,000 a year and that's still not enough for them. That's insane.
Holidays are something that this year we can't afford to go on holiday this year. We don't have the funds for that. I'm really lucky that we've got a hot tub in the garden that we bought years ago, but at the moment we can't afford to turn it on because of the electricity, so that's just sitting empty.
From rising food prices to high energy bills, the cost of living crisis is hitting people across the country. But we found that one of the hardest hit places is an area where only a few years ago wages matched the average UK salary. Over the past few years, some of the biggest increases in costs are in our daily essentials like food and energy.
This is what I said about, like here's the thing. I know that the government brags about increasing the minimum wage and whatnot, but the minimum wage is not going to help if the bills are going to go up at the same time. Bills need to freeze and the minimum wage needs to go up. We need to bridge the gap between what people earn and what people pay in their bills. And the problem is that it is still too much for average people to be paying their bills. This needs to change. The bills need to be frozen, or you need to have a massive increase in their minimum wage. One of the two needs to happen, because right now the system just doesn't work for people.
Wages in Cannock Chase matched the national average in 2021. That's not the case anymore. In 3 years, wages here have only risen 8.4%, meaning people in Cannock Chase are, on average, worse off now compared to others across the country. But it's not just luxuries that people are struggling with.
I need to come here, otherwise we'd be living on bread.
Are you literally saying that you wouldn't have enough food
Yes,
to eat,
yeah.
even though you're working full time?
Yeah, I wouldn't have enough food.
Rebecca works full-time as an office manager and has a second job. She uses this community food table where organisers say a third of the people they support work full-time.
I'm not embarrassed by it. I think there's a lot of people in this situation. It should be noticed that people are in this state.
Heidi owns a beauty salon and works full-time. The cost of living crisis isn't just affecting her, but also her business.
I feel like everybody is stretching their appointments further to try and budget their money a bit better, whether that's because they've got children to pay for or just because it's not like a necessity. They've paid all the bills and now they haven't got any money to spend on themselves.
And this is the middle class cost of living crisis.
Yeah.
This is the middle class. Specifically, you're talking about the middle class here. We're talking about people who earn a decent wage. Earning decent wage. And some people obviously don't have luxuries anymore. You know, it's harder and harder for people to make a decent living for themselves. You know, I've spoken, and you've heard it from many other YouTubers and commentators out there, about how if you're a single person living in the UK, unless you're a banker or a millionaire, you're buggered, because you cannot survive. And even with a partner, it's still difficult. And we just heard from one group there. Obviously, 8,000. That sounds pretty decent if you know, but they want to live their middle class lifestyle. But I remember even when me and my partner were living in the flat we were living in, and we were still able to pay all our bills. But if we were still living in that flat now, like 6 years on, if we were living in that same flat, that rent would be much higher. Would our wages be able to counteract that? My honest answer is I just don't know. And I'm glad I don't know the answer to that, because I feel like, I would be spending more time struggling to pay all the bills, never mind just the rent, all the bills. And I would fear that it would be coming out of my savings and money elsewhere. I wouldn't be able to. I don't think we'd be able to. I'm fortunate in the position that I'm in, but there's so many people out there who don't have the friends and family to be able to support them. There's some people out there who literally only have their partner, and no one should be working 50 hours a week. No one should be working 50 hours a week to make ends meet. Like, that's no life. There's no life there, working 50 hours a week. You know, we've been having conversations about reducing the working shift patterns of people working 5 days a week to 4 days a week. And then we're hearing people working 3 jobs and 50 hours a week. And that's not, and a single person it's just not right. The system is broken right now. It's so fundamentally broken. And this is something that the media should be talking about. This is something the tabloids should be talking about. This is something that we need to be having more of a conversation about. This is the main problem that in society right now. Not bloody migrants crossing on the boats. This is something we need to be talking more and more about. Because this is happening, and we're not talking enough about it. So our community hub in Staffordshire produce is being handed out free. Needs to come in, otherwise we're living on bread. We know that already. Gives you an insight just how deeply the cost of living crisis is biting, because Rebecca's working full-time as an office manager for a day service with people with learning difficulties. On top of that, she has a second job going door-to-door in the evenings and weekends, selling cosmetics and homeware. It's nothing I want to do. Unless I win the lottery or get another job. It should be noted that people are in this state, she said. Local councils, local governments need to see what's going on. Come to the ground level. It's 2025. It shouldn't be like this. This is ridiculous. Like, I don't know how old Rebecca... Oh, she's 51 years old. She's 51 years old, and she's working 2 jobs. A second job on evenings and weekends, going door to door. This is not right. 51-year-old. It's not right. It's not just Rebecca. Alex champions the co-founder of the Norton Keynes Community Food Table and says a third of the people who use it are working full-time. This is the big problem that I have as well. A big thing that really upsets me. Hold on a second. Is that you have people who are, you know, you hear all the time of, you know, people on benefits, they're not working enough or they're not contributing enough. They need to get out there and work hard and whatnot. You have people working full-time. What's my definition of full-time would be people normally working on average 35 to 35 plus hours or more a week. Yeah. You could get 35 or more hours a week is what I would consider full work time. Some people might consider it 39 hours a week, but I would say 35. You could lower it to 30 if you want. That should be sufficient. That kind of work pattern. Now, obviously, it depends what kind of job you have. It depends what the wages of that job should be, because obviously different jobs fluctuate on different wages. But the fact that you have people who are working full time should be able to earn enough money to be able to pay on their bills. And instead, not only are they not able to pay off some of their bills, or they're just about able to pay off their bills, but they have to go to food banks to survive. To survive. Literally to survive, they have to go to food banks. It's mad that you're working a good job and you think you'll be able to afford everything and go on holiday and everything like that. But in reality, they're struggling to put food on the table, he says. We're seeing a massive increase in the people that are using the food table. We're seeing them in the work outfits, professionals, nurses. We talked about, and people complaining about them wanting a bigger pay rise. You don't expect them to be struggling because they're working full time. People who aren't working, you expect them to be struggling, but it's across the board. The food table is in Cannock Chase. Sky News analysis of local authorities gives an insight into why people are feeling dissatisfied. Salaries are no longer delivering the comfortable lifestyles they thought hard work and good job would deliver. Over the past few years, Cannock Chase has gone from being a middle-class part of Britain to one of the lowest earning areas in the UK. And this has changed within the last 3 years. And lots of places are like this as well. And we're going to see a graph in a minute. Well, not a graph, but we're going to... you guys are going to take part in a little thing with me in a bit on here. In 2021, UK average annual salaries were just short. Yeah, we know about all that. Since then, we know about that. Yeah, it's only risen by 8.4%. We said that in the video. Right. See how your areas cope with the cost of living crisis. It won't have escaped your attention that prices have gone up by a fifth since 2021. The highest sustained rate since the 1990s, with some of the biggest rises among essentials like energy and food. But across the whole country, wages have done a pretty good job of keeping up with inflation. The problem that the wages increase is an average that are made up of highs and lows with the price. And while the price rises affect us more uniformly, that means if you haven't had a pay rise, you will quite frankly find that you cannot afford as many things as you used to. In places like Brentford in Essex, the Cotswolds in rural Gloucestershire and Melton in Leicestershire have seen their wages increase at twice the rate of the last few years on average. So this graph here, this is from Sky News analysis using ONS ASHI data. Average annual earnings refers to median gross income. So this is the top 10 local authorities where earnings have risen the most since 2021. This is where the earnings have done very well. So Brentford, Cotswolds, Melton, Waverley, Hertsmere, where they've earned the most since 2021, according to data forensics here. You can see some of the percentages here. So Brentwood has done well. So it's price rises since 2021 as well. But on the other hand, the scale of places like Cannock Chase, where inflation has been more than double the rate of wages is increased. So, look, we looked at Cannock Chase there, the highest there, but you can see other ones there. Harrow, Moray, Newisham, East Renfrewshire, Reading, Lewes, Mavenhill, Tonbridge and Mayley. So all these areas, obviously, are much worse off as a result in terms of earnings. It used to be a place where the average earning pretty much exactly reflected UK midpoint. Now people in Cannock are about £300 worse off every month than the average person. You can see how your area locks up. So here we can check any one that we want, guys. So let's see. So we got So if you give me you can give me anyone you want. Let's try Greater Manchester here. Greater Manchester average on around earnings of 5,691 between 2021 and 2022, while they went up 6,000 on average across the UK. Prices rose by 20% over that period. So men in Greater Manchester up on winners at wage gap. The average change of pen votes 10,000. So that's not too bad for Greater Manchester. Let's try another one. Let's pick another one here. So we can try a couple ones here. Let's try Southampton, for example. In Southampton, the annual earning wage by 2,887 between 2021 and 2024. They went up by 5,612. By the way, if there's anyone you want me to check, any local authority one, give me its name and I'll have a look for you. An average across the UK. Prices rose by 20% over that period. 2021, 26 and 25,000, 29 and 31,000 respectively there. Southampton is ranked 229 out of 304 local authorities in the UK. Was ranked 120. It's now dropped to 109 places. Now ranked 53 out of 61 in the south east here. Let's try one more. In terms of where I want to try. Does it have? Let's try my area, Kent. In Kent, average annual range rose by 5,343, 19.7% between 2021 and 2024, while they went up by 5,612, 21.6% on average across the UK. Prices rose by 20%. Men in Kent earned 12,989, 48.9% more than women on average, up from 11,213 in 2021. The average UK gender pay gap is 10,515, 39.5%. What? Wow. So that's a big distinction there. This is problem. That's Kent. Let's try another one. Let me try somewhere I used to live. That doesn't come up. Oh, there we go. It's in the area. East Hertfordshire. East Hertfordshire, 8,890 between 21. Went up by 5,600 on average across the UK. East Hertfordshire is now ranked 24 out of 304 in local authorities. It's now ranked 4 out in the east of England. National average, interesting. Yeah, so some see, this is the problem. Like in some areas it's not affecting, but in others it is. Here I see money being worth more, but things like housing just being more expensive due to a lack of, says Jal. I live in Scotland, surrounded by wind farms. As a nation, we generate more free and clean energy we need. Yet I'm paying through the roof for energy, says Peach Music. Yeah, it's ridiculous. How hard do people need to work? One wage used to be sufficient. Yeah, that's the problem, Pete's Music. One wage used to be enough. Louise Shosgos, who has 2 children, describes herself as middle class. After 20 years in the classroom, she now has 3 jobs, working 50 hours in a week, teaching codes to a software firm and giving private music lessons. This is the one we looked at as well. Have a mortgage and 3 cars, and together they earn about 80,000 a year. Say family love travel for but cannot afford to go on holiday. Makes me feel sad for my kids more than anything. We can't give them a week away. Do you need 3 cars? Just saying. Can you not give one of the cars up? I mean, 80,000 a year should be a decent lifestyle. Should really be a decent lifestyle. We have food on the table, we got heating, we got cars to drive, but there's definitely some luxuries we cut back on recently. We don't do expensive supermarkets, we don't do expensive brands. We do whatever's on offer in my particular week. That my eldest son started driving, which has had an impact on my daughter's horse riding lessons. You know, this is an average, like this here, you should be able to, the two of them, they should be able to have luxuries. They should be able to have luxuries, and they should be able to afford them to go on a holiday. They should be able to have luxuries and afford to go on a holiday. Louise adds that the family have a hot tub. Yeah, we saw about that already. It seems to satisfaction only one person describing robbing Peter to pay the ball for what the people for. Heidi Boots is what you call the backbone of middle class. Yeah, we looked at her story already. But yeah, food and energy, 31.7% and 43%. Remember, the government, Labour, when they were coming into power, saying they're going to bring your bills down. Yeah, they did say that. The rest of it's not worth reading. We get the point. People, some areas they are worse off and some they are better off. And this disparity is not right. It's just not right. It is not right. It's a big problem. Cost of living crisis is a big problem and it needs to be dealt with. Government need to get a grip on it. They need to get a grip on it. They can't just leave people to the wolves. It's not right that some people suffer while others do well. It's not right. So this next story I've got for you guys is an exclusive from the iPaper. We actually saw the headline this morning. So landlord MPs are to earn more than £4 million in rent from tenants. The Labour Chancellor and Tory Chairman are among 75 MPs earning tens of thousands a year in rent over the course of this Parliament. £4 million in rent from tenants. This is outrageous. Now you see the the houses you see in front of you that looks like Monopoly pieces, the Monopoly Hotel, is you can see there that's the Labour MPs who have landlords. Then you have Conservative MPs in blue. And then you have a couple of independents as well as landlords as well. A group of 75 landlord MPs are set to make at least £4 million from their tenants during the lifetime of this Parliament, according to analysis by the iPaper. Housing campaigners expressed outrage that politicians were making millions of pounds from renters, with some calling for an overhaul of the rules around MPs' incomes. MPs should not be allowed to be landlords while also being an MP. It's wrong. It's immoral. And we already had the, and we'll come to, and obviously it will talk. They'll bring up the scandal, of course, but they should not be MPs. They should not be MPs and landlords. It's just not. It's just not right. Fresh anger and scrutiny comes after the iPaper revealed that the Labour MP Rashka Ali had increased her rent in her East London townhouse by £700 following the removal of 4 tenants. Ali resigned her role as a homelessness minister in the wake of this newspaper story and accusations of staggering hypocrisy from both housing groups and opposition parties in her resignation letter. Ali insisted that she had followed all relevant legal requirements. Yeah, and the problem is, as it's been brought up, the problem is that, yes, she followed the rules. The problem is that the problem are the rules. It shouldn't be okay to do what you did, and yet you still did it. And you're the bloody homelessness minister. Labour is now the biggest party of landlord MPs in Parliament, according to new analysis. It marks a major shift since the last Parliament, when the Conservatives had the most MPs taking in rent money. There are now 38 Labour MPs who make at least £10,000 a year from residential rental income, at levels which are required to declare their property portfolio in their registered member of interest. They're making the minimum they're making at least £10,000 a year, if not more. 38 Labour MPs. The increase in Labour's share of landlords reflects the alternative makeup of the Commons after Keir Starmer's huge election victory. It also reflects a large number of new, mostly younger Labour MPs, 20 of the group, who enter Parliament as landlords. So some of them younger MPs are landlords too? Some 26 Tory MPs. 26 Tory MPs. That's not a surprise. 7 Liberal Democrats. 7 Liberal Democrats. 2 independents. We got some independents there. I don't know if some of them were former Labour ones, possibly. 1 Reform MP. Can we have a guess who that will be? And 1 Green MP. Guess who that Green MP is? It's Adrian Ramsey, which is why he deserves to get kicked from the leadership role, just for being a landlord. And are also landlords making at least £10,000 a year. This right here screams hypocrisy here. Especially as someone who considers Labour Green MPs to be a big supporter. That really does sting a real stinger. There are no rules to stop MPs making as much money as they wish, both from second jobs or rental homes, on top of their £94,000 salary. On top of their £94,000 salary. The current groups of 75 landlords in the Commons earning over £10,000 from rent means they will make at least £750,000 a year from their tenants, or £3.7 million during the life of the current 5-year Parliament. However, the sums are an underestimate since several Labour MPs have multiple properties. The majority of the flats and houses are in London, where they would be expected to make well over £10,000 a year. Rachel Reeves and her husband, a senior civil servant, are reportedly making £74,000 a year from renting out their former South London home for over £6,000 a month. £74,000 a year, and she's the bloody Chancellor. Why not sell the home? Well, the reason why she don't want to sell the home, right? Do you know what it is, right? The reason she don't want to sell the home is obviously she fears that she might not be in that role. She doesn't know how long she'll be Chancellor. So her mindset is basically, just rent it out, and then we'll just rent it out for a shit ton of money, and then we'll move back in if I ever lose the door at number 11. The register shows that she and her partner have been letting it out since September. Yeah, even former Tory Chancellor Jeremy Hunt earns tens of thousands of pounds a year from their property portfolio as well. Several MPs have small property empires. Labour's Jas Anwar is the biggest single landlord in Parliament. The MP for Illinois South rents 15 flats out of landlords, and he co-owns the family. Yep, it's this guy. This guy right here. We've spoken about him before. All my rental properties comply with relevant regulations, how I told the iPaper. All previously raised issues were rectified straight away, and any issues arising in routine maintenance checks are dealt with promptly. This was when he's this is when some of his when he was screwing up as an MP here. Screwing up as a landlord. The Labour MP for Southend, Roscoe, gets rental income from 7 properties in London, which he co-owns with a family member. Abba told the iPaper he was a strong supporter of tenant rights, adding, "I've always gone out of my way to help my tenants and several times waived a rent arrays when I knew people were struggling." Conservative chairman Kevin Hollerake, who criticised Ali's treatment of his tenants this week, has a major property portfolio of his own. Yeah, I think I remember this as well. Criticising, how dare you Labour MP being a landlord and not treating your tenants properly, while at the same time I have my own tenants. The MP for First Glamorgan owns 5 properties in York, for which he gets 1/3 of the share from rental income from, receiving a half share of the income from the other. Tory spokesperson for Hollerack's interests have been properly and transparently declared within line of parliamentary rules. They added, no one has a problem with a former homelessness minister being a landlord. Her problem arose due to her blatant hypocrisy. Former Conservative Chancellor Jeremy Hunt is another one of the biggest landlords, renting out 7 flats in Southampton and another in Italy, which he co-owns. Jane Vale of the London Renters Union called for radical action, urging the government to find a way to ban MPs from being landlords. You think this Labour government are going to listen to you and do that? Yeah. It's a blatant conflict of interest that MPs are making millions from struggling renters, said the campaigner. It's time for the government to ban landlords from Parliament and start working for ordinary people, investing in council housing and capping rents. I 100% agree with all this, but Labour will not do this. The only party that may do it is the Greens, but even that's, we don't know. Generational Rent Chief Executive Ben Twomey said the ex-homelessness minister's shocking behaviour was a wake-up call for the government on the needs to push ahead as quickly as possible to improve protections for renters. The Renters Reform Bill expected to be in place next year. It's aimed at ending no-fault evictions and increasing tenants' rights. Why is this taking so long? Ali had resisted her East London townhouse at £700 a month higher rent within 6 months, something her party is currently trying to outlaw under the bill. Generation Rent said Labour should toughen the bill. The length of time that landlords should be banned from re-letting after removing a tenant to sell the property should be increased from 6 to 12 months, said Twomey. Renters Union Acorn joins calls for Labour to go even further to bring in rent controls. The group said rent payment caps were needed in the private sector to prevent extortionate exploration. One Labour MP, frustrated by the terrible optics of the Ali story, said, "There are too many landlords in MPs." And this just creates a massive conflict of interest here. Like, you can't tell me that these MPs, like, all of them are going to be goody two-shoes and are definitely not going to do anything wrong here. You just can't. Alex Adams, good to see you there if I didn't say hello. Hope you're doing well. The rules of being an MP needs to change and severely restricted. They are profiting off taxpayers. Yeah, they're earning taxpayer money And they're also profiteering from being a politician as well. Being a politician is more of a cash cow than actually serving your constituents to a lot of them. You're going to have a conflict of interest between the renters you should be representing and the property owning, rent-seeking part of the electorate. So a spokesperson for the National Residential Landlords Association said calls for MPs to be totally banned from being landlords was fueling an unhelpful narrative that providing homes to rent is a bad thing when demand is outstripping supply. No. It's called conflict of interest. Okay, this is about conflict of interest. That's what this is about, and we don't want conflicts of interest. That's what this is all about here. The added being a landlord is not a ban fee. For MPs, it is vital when deciding whether to rent out property that they have time to fully meet the responsibilities of being a landlord. So a spokesperson from the Ministry of Housing, Communities and Local Government said the government was focused on improving standards and security for tenants and would deliver renters' rights legislation swiftly. Reeves and Hunt were contacted for comment, but they couldn't be bothered to answer. 75 MPs. 75 MPs are landlords. You cannot tell me that there is not a conflict of interest there. There is a conflict of interest. That is a problem. And that needs to be dealt with. It is, without a shadow of a doubt, a conflict of interest. If they live south of Manchester, they should live in their own home. It's literally having the fox in the chicken's coop. They decide and profit on it. It really just infuriates me. Like if it was one property, like, here's the thing, like, if it, like, from the example of Rachel Reeves there, right, where she's moved into number 11, and they don't want to give up their original home because they plan to move back into that home, possibly, I'm assuming. That's their plan, to move back into the home, so they rent it out while they're living in number 11 as Chancellor. Okay, that's probably it, yeah? So, in that situation there, okay, even if the money is excessive, if you want to hold on to that property, like, in that circumstances, that's not something that I consider like a conflict of interest there. If someone is renting out one property that they had before and now they don't have, and it's just one that they want to go back to after because of her position, that I can understand to a certain extent. But the ones who own 7 properties and whatnot, you cannot tell me that there isn't a conflict of interest there. Like, I'm sorry, you just cannot tell me that you're not going to favour the side of landlords associations. Like, I can see the bill being watered down as it gets closer to getting passed in some way, shape or form. I just can't. Like, personally, yeah, I think landlords should be banned from being MPs, but... And the sole reason is conflict of interest. That's the only reason. I'm not saying landlords are bad. I'm saying they're evil. Okay, no, they're not evil. Some of them are really nasty. But I just think some of these MPs are just taking the absolute piss while earning taxpayer money when they should be doing a job. While also milking lots of money for themselves as landlords as well. Anyway, switching gears from those two stories, we're going to go to The Guardian, this one here. Interesting one here. So, EU citizens awaiting UK residency status have a right to travel, the Home Office has been told. Statutory body expresses serious concerns over difficulties faced by some applicants taking short trips abroad. Let me read a bit more into this before I give my thoughts. So, EU citizens are waiting for the Home Office to decide their pre-Brexit residency status should not be removed from the UK if they're making a short-term visit abroad for business, leisure or family matters, the statutory body for EU citizens' rights has said. The Independent Monetary Authority for Citizens' Rights Agreements, the IMA, has written to the Home Office to express serious concerns about the difficulties applicants on the waiting list face if they leave the country. We have gone home to visit relatives, others have gone on holiday, but found that they refuse entry on return. The IMA said on Monday that citizens who held a valid certificate of application issued by the Home Office could use their document to present to border force officials at airports or ports to show they have a right to travel. Quote, the IMA's position is that citizens who hold a valid CRA have a right to enter and re-enter and leave the UK, subject to meeting relevant requirements, it says in a statement. The position taken by the IMA is a cold comfort for EU citizens already deported, including 33-year-old Spanish woman who was detained overnight and removed from the UK despite presenting Home Office documents showing her right to live and work in the UK. She's got all the documents showing her right to live, and she's still got deported. Oh, sorry, I'm using the wrong feed here. Sorry, guys. Marina, not her real name, had been living in the UK with her British husband and had flown back to Spain to see her sister and her new baby at Christmas, but was detained at Luton Airport and removed on her return a few days later, leaving her life and job behind her. Another EU citizen, Greek Cyprus Costa, not saying that surname, was forcibly removed after he arrived back to Scotland from a short trip to Amsterdam in November. Unlike Maria, the Edinburgh border officials allowed him 3 days to sort out his tenancy and his job with his employer, Stuart West Gray, who described him as a star employee in his Scottish motorcycle firm. Yeah, because it's Scotland, they actually use common sense. The IMA Chief Executive Miranda Biddle said, "Our position is that a citizen with a valid certificate of application has the right to exit and enter the UK while waiting for a decision on their EU settlement scheme application, subject to providing additional documentation required at the border. The IMA has written previously to the Home Office to seek clarification of its position, as it considers the genuine guidance given to border officials unclear." Biddle said the IMA was keen to continue to work with the government so as to ensure citizens are not discouraged from exercising their rights. It said it was particularly concerned that the Home Office clarified the rules on CRA's travel rights before the new system requiring visitors to the UK to have an electronic travel authorization are enforced. This is because CRA holders are not eligible for an ETA, but are also not exempt from needing an ETA or visa and will therefore need to demonstrate permission to travel into the UK. Ah, dear, oh dear. The grassroots campaign group, the 3 Million, said it was very disappointed with the IMA as it was effectively agreeing with the border force approach of asking EU citizens to carry documents to prove their residency before Brexit on the 31st of December 2020, which the group said it was not their job. A CRA was sufficient proof of rights until such time as final decision is taken, the group said. The Home Office said it would respond to the IMA in due course. Spokesperson said all individuals with a certificate of application are made aware that they may be asked for evidence to show that they are qualified under the scheme before they are allowed to enter the UK. Equivalent guidance has been issued to border force officers and published online. Something tells me that these people are going to get sent back to Europe and they're just not going to be coming back in. And it's, again, you have to remember, it's not their fault. Some of them are in this situation not because of all sorts of circumstances why they may not have all the documentation they need. It's about people with the EU resettlement scheme after the why is it in 2025 we still have this issue 5 years on and we haven't dealt with the EU resettlement scheme? Like, okay, how long is it going to take? How long is it going to take to sort this? My voice is really banged up today, just for reference. Very, very frustrating, guys. It's literally having the fox in the chicken coop, and they decide and profit on it, says Jowl. Another bonus of life in Scotland, says Peach Music. Yeah, at least, yeah, they gave them a chance to sort it out. That's the thing. Like in Scotland, you were given an opportunity to sort it out, and you weren't just basically thrown under the bridge, unlike other places. So that's a good thing, at least there. So guys, we're about halfway through the live stream. We've got a couple more stories to go through here on Reganelite's Viewpoint. And I've got two great funny videos to share with you guys, but the first one here, the other one will be at the end of the show. Definitely want to see this one at the end of the show. It's definitely a hilarious one. But this one is just as funny because it's from Nerdine Skinner Comedy, with the headline of "It's now a 41 billion black hole." Ah, it's that pet peeves with Rachel Reeves again.
I'm home. Anybody in? Hello, old friend. I did a good job today. Someone asked me to prepare my CV, so that can only mean that I'm getting a promotion. I just need to find out what CV stands for. I smashed expectations. People didn't think I would mess up this much, and I really blew that.
Sorry about that. I muted my mic for a second there. I just realised it was on 1.5 speed. Sorry it went so fast. Let me start again.
I'm home. Anybody in? Hello, old friend. I did a good job today. Someone asked me to prepare my CV, so that can only mean that I'm getting a promotion. I just need to find out what CV stands for. I smashed expectations. People didn't think I would mess up this much, and I really blew the whole thing wide open. So I guess that can only be a positive. I made a boo-boo on the calculator. Apparently the plus and minus sign mean different things. Anyway, I have managed to get our £22 billion black hole to £40 billion. That wasn't supposed to happen, but at least I've got fiscal rules. I love fiscal rules. I could eat fiscal rules for breakfast, lunch and supper. I dream about fiscal rules. What are fiscal rules? The good news is that everyone knows it's the Tories' fault, and I never go back on my promises because of fiscal rules. So, respect the game, respect the player. It's simple. I'll just raise tax. I found the cross button on the calculator. I'll just do that a few times for people. Apparently, we're currently in deficit. Now, I don't know why toilet behaviour has to come into finance. It's childish. I mean, I hardly deficit these days due to stress. Anyway, good night. Fiscal rules, please. I like your fiscal rules.
God damn it. Oh, God damn it. The resettlement of UK citizens here was solved a year ago before the Brexit end. Says Jal. Yeah, but those in the UK are not having it sorted. It's not completely solved, is it? Clearly, there are still problems that aren't being dealt with, which is very, very frustrating, guys. Very, very frustrating. So, just before we carry on, just a quick reminder. Hold on a second, just making sure this is sorted here. Let me just close that. Just a quick reminder, if you haven't already, please hit that like button. We greatly appreciate it. Share this across social media. Subscribe if you haven't to already. And do check out Rumble and Patreon. There's lots of content dropping over the week for you guys as well. Just a reminder that my next live stream will be at 11 o'clock tomorrow as well. So if you could join me for that, feel free to do so. It's going to be a very, very hot day. That is for sure here in London in particular. As for the round table this Thursday, it'll just be myself, Daily Blase, and One Angry Pagan. If there's another guest at short notice, I can pull them in. I can do, but I'm not having much hope on that, I'm afraid, guys, at the moment. So I do apologise, but it'll still be nice to have some guests on to talk about some of the news. I know we know Daily Blase and One Angry Pagan fairly well here on this channel, so obviously it'd be interesting to have discussions about those things as well. And just a reminder as well, if you want to financially support me in the work that I do here, you can leave any super chats or gifted memberships. You can join the YouTube membership for as little as 99p as well. If you can't financially support me, guys, and you want to support me in a non-financial way, those best ways, like I said, leaving a comment in my videos, watching my videos, and sharing them, and subscribing, all that good stuff, guys, can help support the channel. So thank you to anyone who has done that. It is greatly appreciated. I really do appreciate people who do that for me. Right, let's carry on here. So Labour accepted £40,000 in donations from a criminal kick it out of party. Keir Starmer's party said it is returning money from Abdel Salah Sheen Mohammed, who was convicted of actual bodily harm in 2022. So at the time they accepted a donation from this person, but they are saying they were returning the money. So this is the good thing. Because here's the thing, right? And I want to make this point here before we go any further, okay? Do you remember there was that the Conservative donor, the racist Conservative donor? I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but you remember he said nasty things about Diane Abbott, basically, and he gave huge amounts of money to the Conservative Party, and he never apologised directly for. I don't think he ever apologised directly for his comments, or to Diane Abbott for that matter. But the party never, when they took that money, they never gave it back or never retracted it or whatever. They took the money, and they took even more money, I think it was like 6 months to a year later after the incident, from the same Conservative donor, despite the fact that he was a blatant racist. Whereas here, in this instance here, Labour are giving that money back. So kudos at least to Labour saying that they will return the money. So Labour has said it's returning more than £40,000 donated by a convicted criminal who the party has already expelled as a member. So this is good. This is good. Yeah, Frank Hester. Thank you, Simon. Thank you so much. Frank Hester. That's who it was. So yeah, this is like, again, this is a positive thing. Like, Labour are giving the money back and they're not keeping the money. So we should appreciate that Labour aren't just hoarding the money like the Conservatives did. The donation came from businessman Abdul Sattah Sheen Mohammed, 55, known as Shir Sattah, who was convicted of actual bodily harm in 2022 and thrown out of the Labour Party later that year. The money includes £10,300 given to the Central Party last June, a figure which is just below the threshold to be disclosed to the election watchdog, the Electoral Commission. The revelations raised questions about Labour's procedures for accepting political donations, an issue which hit the headlines following reports earlier this year that Elon Musk planned to give Nigel Farage Reform UK Party $100 million or $74 million. In its manifesto at the last elections, the Keir Starmer's party pledged to protect democracy by strengthening the rules around donations to political parties. As well as giving money to the party, $15,000 was donated by Mohammed to, in part, support the re-election of Portsmouth MP Steve Morgan, the early education minister. The party said Mr Morgan was not aware of his conviction. His local party should have declared these, but Labour have blamed an administrative error and said it was being rectified. So they were not aware he was convicted, apparently. So it sounds like to me here that Labour weren't doing their homework as well on this situation. Mohammed also gave £10,000 to local party Southampton MP Savi Kul and £5,000 to Amanda Martin, another Portsmouth MP. Both declared their money in the Parliamentary Register of Interest. The Sunday Times, which first reported the donation, said the money was given to Mr Morgan and his local party only emerged when a reporter contacted Mohammed. Asked about his conviction this week, Mohammed told the paper that he had been presented during a violent confrontation after his son's bike had been stolen. He said he had tried to prevent a bad situation, but his son had gotten into a fight. He denied personally assaulting the victim. We don't know the case, so I can't comment on it. £10,300 donation to the party was below the £11,180 limit set by the Electoral Commission, meaning it didn't need to be declared. In a statement, the Commission said donations have been reported late by parties and accounting units that are considered in line with our enforcement policy. We can confirm we are currently considering this matter. Labour says that because Mr Morgan's crowdfunding page said that donations would also be supporting other campaigns in Portsmouth, it could not be considered a direct donation to him and did not need to be declared in his register of interest. It is understood that the donations will be submitted to the Electoral Commission in the party's next quarterly return, a spokesperson said. These donations were made to Portsmouth Labour Party Action and has been taken to return them. They've also said that Mr Couture returned her donation last year and Miss Martin was in the process of doing so, while the National Party did so on Thursday after being contacted by the Sunday Times. So as soon as they found out, they obviously would contact and return the money. Again, like, say whatever you like. Here's the thing: like, Labour are returning the money. They are returning the money, and that's the good thing. So at least they are doing that, especially from somebody who was convicted of actual bodily harm here. Now, some people may say, well, some people may argue that they should have kept the money. I don't think so. I think it's, you're supposed to be setting the moral high ground. Labour aren't doing a pretty crap job of doing that anyway. But Labour did the right thing here by giving their money back. So credit in that regard. However, questions do have to be asked of why didn't they check this person sooner? Considering that this person has been giving money to MPs, you would want to check this person's background. Really check it just to be sure. But apparently didn't want to bother doing that there. Labour in Scotland's new headquarters, owned by a company registered by British Virgin Islands, Donald Dewar House, a company owner, Kenneth Hughley, son of Lord Hughley. Definitely no conflict of interest there in Labour's headquarters in Scotland. Oh no, definitely no conflict of interest, guys. Definitely no conflict of interest. Yeah, definitely no conflict of interest there. Why can't people follow the rules? Is it so hard for people to follow the rules? Some people just can't put it to themselves to just follow the rules. Now, how did this story happen? So UK taxpayers are on the hook as Fowles Cumbria coal mine investors are to sue the government. A Singapore firm using secretive international legal systems to seek compensation from climate concerns blocking plans. Now, when I first saw this report, my first thing, you know what the first thing I thought? I said, the bloody Tories should pay for this. If it is found that that the government has to pay out here, it should come directly out of the Conservatives' coffers. Because why should taxpayers have to pay out for this? Like, this is a small scandal here. You have a firm here who's demanding compensation from the coal mines that were never going to take off, that the Conservatives were trying to push through, and they were never going to get past the legal system to do so. But they obviously offered a contract to this Singapore firm. Because the Singapore firm is not getting a penny of it, they're demanding compensation. Let's read more into this. So the UK government is being sued in a secretive cooperative court after a proposal for a new coal mine in Cumbria was quashed by the High Court. If successful, the UK taxpayers will also have to fund a substantial compensation payment to the mine investors. It is the first case to be filed against the UK government by a fossil fuel company as a result of the climate policy. The case uses investor-state dispute settlements, the ISDS rules agreed in a 1975 trade agreement between the UK and Singapore, where the major investor in the coal mine is incorporated. Let me read that again. The case uses investor-state dispute settlements and ISDS rules agreed in a 1975 trade agreement between the UK and Singapore, where the major investor in the coal mine is incorporated. The details of the claim have not been made public, but ISDS courts allow foreign investors to sue states when their activities are affected by government policies such as green regulation. Why? Why have we not done something about this? ISDS courts were described as unjust, undemocratic and dysfunctional in a recent UN report. Experts have repeatedly warned that their use threatens efforts by countries to cut carbon emissions and fight the climate crisis. More than 100 billion in public money has been awarded to corporations through ISDS courts. Fossil fuel companies have benefited the most, receiving 80 billion since 1998. The controversial proposed coal mine in Cumbria was blocked by a High Court in September. The judge ruled it had been unlawful for the then Conservative government to accept a claim that the mine would be net zero when granting planning permission. Labour ministers have since withdrawn government support for the mine. Claridor Ricard, the trade campaign manager at NGO Global Justice Now, said, "We've been calling on the government to scrap ISDS in its trade deals for years. To stop exactly this eventuality, fossil fuel companies are suing us over necessary climate action." These corporate courts means that when the government or courts make the right decisions, like halting the Cumbria coal mine, foreign corporations have the power to threaten the government in highly secretive processes. If they win, they get to pass their losses from obstacle projects on to the taxpayer. The case had been filed by Woodhouse Investment Plt Limited, a Singaporean company, and West Cumbria Mining Holdings Limited. Woodhouse Investment Limited holds 8% of the West Cumbria Mining, and it is itself owned by a firm in the Cayman Islands. Companies are being represented by the barristers and Conservative MP Geoffrey Fox and the law firm Whiffers. The most used ISDS agreement is the Energy Charter Treaty, which was initially intended to protect foreign investors in the former countries of the Soviet Union. UK withdrew from the ETC in February 2024, saying it could penalise us for our world-leading efforts to deliver a net zero. The sunset clause means investors may still use the ETT for up to 20 years. Government also reportedly wants ISDA terms in a trade deal being. The government also reportedly wants ISDS terms in a trade deal being negotiated with India. The oil company ExxonMobil is using ECTs to sue the Dutch government for its decision to phase out gas explorations in Groningen, while UK oil business Rockhopper was awarded $190 million in a case it brought against the Italian government, though it has since been annulled. What does that word mean? Annulled? What does that mean? Someone's going to have to explain that word to me. Chris Riley, the Cumbria-based charity South Lakes Action on Climate Change, said, "We are very disappointed to see this attempt by West Cumbria Mining to sue the UK taxpayer after the proposed coal mine was refused an extradition licence and its planning application was quashed. We hope that the UK government will oppose this claim as strongly as they can." West Cumbria Mining Co. Whiffers and Department of Business and Trade have been contacted for comment. This is bad. This is really, really bad. Even though for some reason this wasn't showing up on my feeds. Notifications. Oh, it means cancelled. Oh, they cancelled it. Thank you. Why couldn't they just said that instead? Use words I understand. This is. Why do I have a feeling that as we phase more into green energy, the oil companies and gas companies are going to be demanding compensation from the UK taxpayer? Done away with. Thank you. This fucking sucks. This fucking sucks so much. So if you try to go green energy, you could get your ass sued. And taxpayers will have to fork the money for it. How fucking sad is this? I fucking hate this. I hate this a lot. I really hate this a lot. And it was the it was the Conservatives that approved the Cumbria mining initially. When everyone was saying they were going to get blocked by the courts anyway. This is so fucking stupid. I fucking hate this. Oh, waste of taxpayer money. Such a waste. These people are unprincipled bastards. They are. You're absolutely right, Mithral. They are. Keeping their pals in the money. Yeah, they are. Absolutely. So infuriating. Oh, I'm so angry. I really, really am. If I haven't recorded more than 20 videos today, guys, I'd be a lot louder, but Counter Kev, good to see you there. Hope you are doing well. Thank you. Previously decision overturned or blocked. Thank you. Yeah, it's very, very annoying. So can I find the energy to swear and shout with this one, guys? Ah, dear, oh dear. I don't know where to start with this one. It's a reform one as well, guys, to end with. So, reforms women praise men protecting wives from abusive migrants. Sarah Polchin said that immigrants from predominantly Muslim countries had a medieval view of women's rights. Abusive migrants. What a nasty, nasty thing to add to your headline there. Yeah, and you have to add. Remember, they have to add the quotes. Yeah, you know, when they change the laws in the media, right? When they change the law in the media, they need to make sure that headlines like these, they can't mislead people with the abstract at the top there. They should not be allowed to do that, because that's misleading. That is deliberately and intentionally misleading people, claiming that migrants are abusing their wives. That's exactly what that is, which is so not true. So not true. It infuriates me so much that we continue to have this perception that migrants are all evil and bad. And it is racist. And I know people on the side of reform think that, you know, some of them don't care anymore about being called racist. You know, like I was listening. You're going to hear the video tomorrow from Max, I'm pretty sure, on these live stream, because he'll cover it. But Politics Joe did a video covering some protests, counter protests, and migrant protesters. And one of them was basically said, "I don't care if they call me racist anymore at this point." It's just like you're already situated in your mind that all immigrants are abusive or nasty, evil people. And it's just like, have you even met a migrant? Have you even spoken to a migrant? No. How the hell do you know? Like, have you actually like listened to them on TV or anything? Have you ever gone up and spoken to them? Like, no, you just shout abuse at them. This is so infuriating. Reform's newest MP has praised concerned British men for organising private street patrols, and have accused illegal immigrants of thinking they have a right to sexually assault women. This is so bullshit. Now, I don't know where these private street patrols are, and I don't know where she got this idea that illegal immigrants think they have a right to sexually assault women, but they don't. And we're talking about a small minority of migrants who have broken the law here when it comes to sexually assaulting women. But you're trying to paint all of them like this. It's so disgusting and vile. Sarah Polchin said the private security personnel were protecting their wives, daughters and mothers from sexual assault. She also accused illegal migrants from predominantly Muslim countries of having medieval views of women's rights fundamentally alien to our own Western views. And have you met all these? Have you met all Muslims? Have you met all Muslims? Yeah, who have come over here, and have learnt that from them, or have you just decided to take that out of context just from the fact that one or two of them came from certain countries and have those views, and you're just going to assume that all Muslims are the same? She cited Peter McCormack, a businessman from Bedford, who had hired 10 private security guards with body cameras and radios to patrol the streets of the town every Saturday in August. Why? Polchin said the project had echoes of Guardian Angels, a New York volunteer group of unarmed crime criminals. This is what the police is. Where's the police? She accused the government of being in denial about the scale of crimes against women and girls. She said, "It's no wonder that we're now hearing groups of concerned British men mobilising themselves into Guardian Angel styles or street patrols to protect their daughters, their girlfriends, their wives and even their mothers." Polchin made the comments at a press conference at Women for Reform alongside 3 other senior female party figures, one of whom called the group Farage's... I'm not even going to bother saying that bit. Podchin, who was elected as the MP for Roncon and Hesby in May, said, "The inconvenient truth for the left is that the culture of men from predominantly Muslim countries like Afghanistan is one that holds a medieval view of women's rights." No, it is not. Not every Muslim is like this. Again, you're assuming that every single Muslim in Britain is like this. Again, just fear-mongering, scaremongering. That's what this is. It's all about scaremongering people once again. This is fucking bollocks. And we know it's fucking bollocks. They're just scaremongering people into believing this. And the problem is, a lot of these people who buy into this shit have never even met a Muslim. Have never had a relationship with a Muslim. Probably not even had a relationship with a brown person. Women who are at risk of sexual assault from rape from these men. Hundreds of young men who arrive in this country are housed in our communities who undoubtedly become sexually frustrated and have warped views of their right to sexually assault women. This is so bullshit. I cannot tell you how much hogwash this is. This is so much hogwash. You undoubtedly become sexually frustrated. What the hell does that mean? Sexually frustrated? Yeah, there's an old... Sexually frustrated. There is something that men can do when they don't have a woman. This begins with an M. I don't need to spell out the word. If they do feel sexually frustrated. Oh my god. They actually generally believe that Muslims are coming across on the boat. Well, no. It's not that they believe it. It's that they are poisoning British people to believing that this is happening. She said reform would deport all small boat migrants who live in the house of multiple occupations who have been moved out of the hotels. They would not be able to do this. They're just lying. The party would deport foreign criminals, she added. Labour are already doing this. And said that the police would be made to respond to every inappropriate sexual behaviour allegations made against a migrant. Reform is set to announce a comprehensive deportation policy in the next fortnight. This is bullshit. They don't have a detailed policy. I guarantee you that they will push this back. They will push this back. Support for the party has risen across all types of voters since the start of the year, but especially among women whose backing for Farage has historically struggled. They're using... So what they're doing is they're using... in order to woo over women voters, they're using this whole Muslim thing. The Muslim gang... What happened with the Muslim gang... these Muslim criminals. The gang who sexually assaulted women. They're using that as canon to feed the narrative to women that we will stand up for women in Reform UK because you can't trust Conservatives and Labour. We will stand up for you. In January, the gap in women's in Reform's voting intentions between women and women was about 10%, but it's narrowed to about 6 percentage points. However, strategics have said that Farage's ties to President Trump has pushed women away from the party. Cotton said the president can certainly come across as a bit of a chauvinist, but said he clearly does respect women. Okay. She pointed to women's top team as evidence. He has a lot of very senior women in his team, so actually he clearly does respect women and promotes women in his team, as Nigel is very much doing, as you've seen today with 4 senior women hosting the press conference. Well, this is a press conference specifically on women for reform, which is why he's not... Was he even there speaking? Lydia Cullenham, the Reform councillor in Westminster, who has been tipped to stand for the London mayoralty in 2028, said the party stood for every vigilante mum out there. You don't stand for my mum, that's for sure. Kemi Bagnott, the Conservative leader, has met a group of residents in Epping, Essex, where protests have been organised against the decision to house asylum seekers in local hotels. Oh, you're doing your part, Kemi. Appearing to suggest the use of camps to solve the issue, she said, "We've got to turn things around very quickly. Our world is changing very quickly, and we need to adapt to it. It is possible for us to set up camps and police that, rather than bringing all this hassle into communities." They want to set up camps. Literally, they want to do what they're doing in America right now. They want to set up camps, deep detention centres for migrants instead of having them in the hotels. Bagnall also criticised professional protesters who turn up at various events, saying that those from local communities should take precedence. Are you talking about... Oh, surely you must be talking about those who are racist and vile that drive from towns to towns and calling for people to be deported. Surely those are the people you're talking about. Labour have criticised Farage for opposing the Online Safety Act, which says they address the abuse of women, and the Crime of Policing Bill, which includes measures designed to tackle violence against women and girls. Spokesperson said it's shameful that Reform voted against crucial new measures to make women and girls safer on our streets, and have promised to scrap vital protections for women and girls online. Yet again, Reform is incapable of putting forward any kind of credible policies to the challenge that this country faces. The problem is that people will buy into this and eat it all up. That's the problem. They will continue to buy into this narrative that all Muslims who live in the UK are sexual predators or have sexual fetishes, or it's in their DNA to be like this. And it's just not true. I've worked with Muslims in my time in retail. Like, I've come across and worked with different people, and they're just like ordinary people, just working hard, making a living like anybody else, and just makes this assumption that they're all the same. It's just not true. It is just not true about them. Abolish religion in the sector state one. Right, he already did that. People are so worried about religion they do not even bother to live. If people are unable to behave in society and women cannot walk freely around, then it's up to the state to solve it. The problem is that Reform are pushing the narrative of women are not safe, you are not safe, it's not safe to go out on the streets because of these migrants. They're dangerous, they can bring harm to you. And they're consistently pushing these narratives all the time. Like, the moment that somebody is seen to be... The moment that there's a case revolving around a person's ethnicity or background, they'll blow it up out of proportion, saying, once again, they'll reinforce the image of saying, see, it's once again proof that you cannot trust these people. We can only trust our own. White British. You can only trust white British people. This is the narratives that they want to push down. I know, it's so revolting what they're trying to do, guys. It really, really is. So, guys, before we head out here, I've got, like I said, I had a very good video to see ourselves out here. A really, really good one here from Foil Arms and Hogs here. It's called Getting into the USA in 2025. I hope you guys enjoy this funny one here.
If you want to get into America these days, you have to play the game. Now, I know a few of you have your visa interviews coming up, yeah?
Yes.
Well, don't worry. I've had over 700 successful applicants in the last 6 months. Why don't we just start with an easy question? What is the greatest country in the world?
Like for education or?
No.
In terms of standard of living?
Lads, come on.
Healthcare?
Come on, what's the greatest country in the world? What do you think they want you to say?
Oh, the USA.
Obviously the USA. All right, now, where is this? Paddy?
That's the Gulf of America.
Good save, but you have to practice this, lads, okay? Because this one is going to come up. Now, there's been a few reports of border guards recently asking how tall is the president. Any ideas there, man?
The president of the USA is 7'10".
He's not in the bleeding NBA, all right? No, look, if you don't know, all right, what can you say? Ramesh?
Taller than Obama.
Taller than Obama. Very good, yes? Ramesh, what is your social media presence?
I am not on social media.
Exactly.
I live a social media free life. #natural.
Ah, jeez, you blew it there, right at the end, you blew it. Now be careful, because this next one can catch you out, all right? How many people in this photo?
Oh, at least 80 million.
Very good, very good. And remember, if you don't know, what do you say?
More than Obama.
Now they're gonna ask about the tariffs. Look, if you don't know what the tariffs are, it's all right, because
Neither does the president.
one little laugh like that, you'll have to go to Canada for your holidays. Now, let's have a look at what we're gonna wear on the day, yeah? Okay. Very good. Nice and subtle, okay? They might ask you about the recent riots in California. What should you say?
All writing should be restricted to January 6th only.
Don't say that. No, you can't say that. Right, well, that's it, lads. Best of luck to you, and remember, to get through the border clear, we tell them what they want to hear. That's it. Final question. How many porn stars did the president sleep with?
More than Obama.
More than Obama. More than Obama. So there you go, guys. There's your tips and tricks to getting into the USA in 2025. Thank you, Foil and Arms and Hogs, for giving us the tips we need. So maybe I can actually get in now, all thanks to their work. Guys, make sure you check out Foreign Arms Hogs YouTube channel there. 1.14 million subscribers. Fantastic for them. Couldn't be more happier for them. A fantastic amount of... They do such wonderful, wonderful work. Do check out. And I think they're going on tour as well. Yeah, they're going to Chicago, Canada, Montreal, and a couple of other places as well. So that'll be very great, yeah, for people if they go out of their way, yeah. Obama, yes. Yes, it's all Obama, 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 Obama. It is all Obama, indeed, indeed. So, guys, I want to say a massive thank you to everyone who came along tonight. Thank you, guys, for all your comments. I appreciate all you guys being here, even the quiet ones in the back as well. You guys know who you are. I will be back tomorrow with another Good Morning Show at 11 o'clock. It will be very, very warm at that time, but I will cope. So do join me for another Good Morning Show. If you can't make it for that, I'll be back live tomorrow at 6 p.m. for Global News. So if you can join me for that show, feel free to do so as well. But thank you guys for all, again, for coming along. If you can, before we head out, hit that like button. It would be greatly appreciated. Share this across social media. Subscribe if you haven't already. Do check out Rumble and Patreon for exclusive content. And if you want to financially support me and the work that I do here, you can do so by becoming a YouTube member for as little as 99p. And you can even join me on Rumble or Patreon for exclusive content on those platforms. So thank you all so much for watching, and I hope to catch you all very, very soon.